Alright, how's it going, crew? Welcome back to another episode of Captain Reacts. It has been a while since I have done a reaction video. That has been one, because my job has been taking up way too much of my time, more than I would like. And two, I haven't really found anything I felt like reacting to. However, someone who actually watches my React videos came by my stream, twitch.tv/PikaCrew, yesterday, and told me they were really hyped, wanted me to react to this video, and was looking forward to my next reaction video. So I guess here I am. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's in another language, the title is. I assume the rest of the video is fine, but apparently nobody else has reacted to this video, which would be surprising. But anyway, let's hop right on into it.
I believe I have found a game that is linked to Scatterate, made by a Japanese doomsday cult, disguised as a new Buddhist movement, responsible for the incessant murder of innocent people. Today, I will investigate this miserable group of lunatics.
Okay, first of all, I do really enjoy his creepy aesthetics that he puts into his videos, and second of all, I don't remember the name of it, but I know what cult he's talking about. And this video is probably gonna get copyrighted because last time I did a video that used clips about this cult, there was something that copyrighted those clips. So, but I'm gonna keep going anyway. That's what it was. How are they linked to a game? Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. That just that looks ridiculous. I'm sorry. Oh. Ew.
What in the name of sweet Jesus are we looking at right now?
I have
If
no
I
idea.
had to guess, I'd say it's a lonely hikikomori somewhere on the spectrum who watched too much Dragon Ball Z in their impressionable years. Apparently what we're seeing isn't that far off from my hypothesis. It's a meditation practice known as Darduri Siddhis, where cult members will attempt to levitate like they're some kind of airbender. This is direct footage from the Shinrikyo video game, called Kami Kuishiki Mura Monogatari, which in English roughly translates to The Story of Kamikuishiki Village. It was released on June 29th of 1995
Okay,
by a
that
company
explains a
known
lot.
as Omsoft. The game itself comprises largely of art pieces and public appearances of the cult.
Do they have to censor the word propaganda? What?
Wow. Belle Delphine really let herself go. But that bathwater's still selling like hotcakes.
I was about to
All right,
say,
enough
man,
jokes, let's
we
break this
thought Belle
bad boy
Delphine
down.
invented the
The game is
bathwater
believed
sales.
to be many things. Some say it's an egg, others say it's a recruitment tool, and some think it's the blueprint for PikaCrew. From all of the possible data my brain can physically gather by looking at this train wreck of assets straight from Microsoft Paint, I can postulate that this is some sort of resource management simulator, wherein you attempt to lead the cult to its ultimate goal. Intertwined within the gameplay are cutscenes of real-life recordings of the cult's various affairs.
Okay, what's going on there? Everything was nice and calm, and now it's...
At the price of my sanity, let me try and explain what the narrative of this monstrosity is trying to convey. We begin our journey with this wannabe air nomad failing miserably at creating an air scooter. Next we have what looks like an image of a making even though that's probably, or rather definitely, not what it is at all.
Real quick, this is the one that did the, no. The Tokyo Sarin attack. Yeah, this is the one that did those chemical attacks on the Japanese substations, right? Deadly Tokyo subway, yeah. Yeah. So keep in mind, this is a cult that would later go into the subways of Tokyo and
I mean, not like
large-scale
it matters,
chemical
since there are only
attacks.
two individually distinguishable entities in the photo anyways, humans and a fence. It might help if I understood the language, but I'm sure some bilingual Japanese American with too much time on their hands will translate it for me in the comments. Thank you so much for your sacrifice. These next few slides present a man known as Shoko Asahara, who is the infamous cult leader of Shinrikyo. I know he looks like a friendly panda bear, who happens to have his own Minecraft skin. But soon we're gonna find out he's basically the cheap Japanese version of Charles
What doesn't have a Minecraft
and a huge
skin?
piece of maggot. So I want you all to take your phone or computer screen and spit on it, so it's like you're spitting on his stupid face. May he burn in hell. Now we enter the section of the game that is supposedly playable. Set your copies of SimCity and City Skylines ablaze and burn them in a dumpster fire, cause they're all fake ripoffs of Kamakuishiki Village. This right here is the real deal. You are in charge of Shinrikyo. How do you play exactly? Don't ask me. The vague gameplay elements don't make themselves very clear to someone who can't read the text of a text-based game. Honestly, if it weren't for my sparkling commentary, we'd be stuck in a limbo of witnessing every senseless frame this game vomits at us. I don't enjoy wasting your time hyper-observing and showcasing irrelevant details, so I'm going to highlight only the important
What amazing
parts.
art, by the way.
Throughout the game, events occur based on the choices of the player. Images, audio, and videos of the cult's real-life dealings play out. Shinrikyo hosted many politically driven public displays. Marches and dances have been held all throughout Japan to grip the good graces of the people, because they had a hunger for power, running for parliament under their own political party. There's also recruitment tools utilized in books, music, VHS tapes, and cable television. They even had their own anime series for a time.
Really? Oh, fucking hell, man. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. This has got to be the best anime I have ever seen. Oh, he's powering up. I think the levitation thing, like when it's just up and down, okay, but when they were doing the forward movement with it, that was the funniest thing.
Right along the valley in front of Mount Fuji. All of these cult costs can get expensive, but funding is easy when your own members are financially enslaved through the debt you incur on them. Some frames display the identities of these cult members, or its enemies. For example, this unknown woman in a compromising and photograph allegedly held in the cult. Kiyoshi Kariya, who was in fact mandated by the cult from an empty street in Tokyo and confined within the Shinrikyo compound until being released after he refused to give information on the whereabouts of his sister. She was a previous member that had fled and hid herself from the world.
Oh lord, okay,
Tsutsumi
that's
Sakamoto
awful.
And his family. He was a lawyer spearheading the lawsuits made against Shinrikyo's fraudulent and criminal deeds before they invaded his apartment and murdered him, his wife, and his infant son by bashing them with a hammer, injecting their bodies with potassium chloride, and subsequently dismembering and scattering their appendages across Japan.
Oh, that is fucking brutal, dude. Holy shit.
The chief of National Police of Japan and lead investigator on the Shinrikyo case, narrowly escaped an assassin after being shot 4 times in front of his home. I am disgusted by what I'm seeing, and unfortunately, in telling you all of this, I may have just made myself a target to this cult, as they are still very much alive today.
Oh.
Now going by the name of Aleph. But guess what? They can suck mama's fat, throbbing because I'm not gonna live a life being afraid of standing up to evil people. Plus, I got all of you watching my back, don't I? Speaking of, by the way, you can watch my back real good by supporting me on Patreon. Link in description. Most days I come home from a 12-hour shift and fall straight to sleep knowing I gotta get back up at 4 a.m. the next day, and the next day, and the next day.
Yeah, no,
but
that's
if y'all
my
gave
predicament.
me enough, I could quit that job and make these videos for you full-time. Regardless,
Too bad I'm not as good of a content creator as this guy.
Watching. So let's get back into it. The cult's primordial beliefs center around syncretism, which is the assimilation of discrete traditions found in a blend of religions and combining these schools of thought into one unity. Seriously? Sounds like some unitology crap straight out of Dead Space.
All mankind brought together with one purpose, with one mind, with one soul.
Shoko Asahara is of course none other than the self-proclaimed messiah of these people. His purported purpose was to take upon himself the sins of the world, blessing his followers with spiritual power and relieving them of their wrongdoings. He also scriptured a doomsday prophecy, which included a third world war instigated by the United States, which he referred to as the Beast, and described a final conflict culminating in a nuclear Armageddon in 1997.
Whoa, I mean, America's not the greatest, but I wouldn't say the
except
beast.
For the elite few who joined the cult. Am's mission was not only to spread the word
on who's
of salvation,
president, I guess, but
also
I'm not
to
political, so I'm
survive
not
these
gonna
end
get into that.
times. In the game, if you fail in leading the cult to flourish and act out its intentions, then you will receive what is considered the bad ending and bring it to its end. The quote-unquote good ending, on the other hand, when making the correct set of gameplay decisions, will end the story on March 20th of 1995. Your cult will execute 5 coordinated out on 3 separate Tokyo subway lines using a known as sarin, an extremely toxic synthetic nerve agent. intended to depose the Japanese government and initiate the events prophesied by Shoko Asahara. Regrettably, this royale was actually carried out in real life on March 20th of 1995 by the cult Shinrikyo, and is to date the most sealed in Japan.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Good lord, that's horrible.
Noriko used to be a checkout girl at a supermarket.
Altogether, she has been in hospital for 8.5 years. By inhaling sarin, her brain was deprived of oxygen. Now she can't walk, so she is in a wheelchair. She can't talk either, and she has lost her memory.
It is said that this game was the very blueprint for that it had a hand in recruiting and training the perpetrators. But we'll see about that. Disturbingly enough, some of the arc footage in-game does originate from sources within the cult compound. Many examples are completely indistinguishable from what Shinrikyo publicly promotes, and others were not even publicly available. That is until after the subway. Thousands of hours of Shinrikyo tapes aired on international news for months after the attack. And we can even see actual footage from in the game. So how anyone theorized that this game was somehow made while showcasing the literal coverage from it is beyond me. But still, who made it? And why? So far we have one lead. Soft. When we search for that company title through the surface web, we'll only find publications referencing the startup screen and the end screen of the game, but no actual information or history behind the name itself. There is no official website, social media, or documented history of this corporation anywhere that I can find. There is only one official periodical that cites Soft as an official developer for the story of Kamikuishiki Village. Game Urara, a physical Japanese newsletter, advertised it and included a floppy disk to play it in the 4th volume of their magazines, released in the summer of 1995. But the lack of both electronic and physical paper trails, specifically copyright documentation, tells me that this Soft is unestablished and unregistered, meaning it could have been made by anyone. The story of Kamikuishiki Village can be classified as doujin soft, which are video games Japanese hobbyists work on for recreation, the equivalent of a homebrew, a fan game. Finding the mastermind
did you see that art? That art was phenomenal,
especially given my geographic and linguistic limitations. Thankfully, I know a guy who knows a guy. On the game Urara advertisement for the story of Kamikuishiki Village, we will find a publisher with a name that might ring a distinctively familiar sound. Kowloon Kurosawa, the developer of Hong Kong 97. For those of you unaware, Hong Kong 97 was one of the prime old-school mysteries, and just so happens to be the inspiration for the main theme of my Suiverasne. And if you didn't already know, yes, I used to review Hasne. Back to the topic. Hong Kong 97 was an unlicensed Super Nintendo game that was also released in 1995.
Yeah, no, I've heard about this one.
Infamously
This was
known for its status as the worst game ever made. As
it
well as the fact
showed
that
a.
it was rejected by every video game retailer in Japan.
The problem with that game was it showed a picture of a super realistic like corpse, and people were speculating whether it was a real dead body, whether there was a murder involved with the game. People were trying to figure all that out. It was a deep mystery about essentially a picture of a dead body in the game.
Not to mention that it's the only Super Nintendo game to ever show real-life heroic.
Yeah.
I highly recommend watching the AVGN video by Cinemassacre and the complete history documentary by the Ultra Healthy Video Game Nerd on their respective channels if you'd like to know more. Why, though, is Kowloon Kurosawa's fake company Happysoft recognized as the publisher for the Shinrikyo game on one of these underground articles? If he is in fact the developer, I can't say I'd be very surprised. This is right up his alley. Kurosawa is notorious for his unconventional creative process and questionable business practices. However, when reached out to, he denied responsibility for its creation, but confessed he knew who was. Two high school friends of his who also shared his affinity for bizarre video game/journalism hybrids. The name of the group they went by is Kanai Karasawa. I found two names recorded behind the title, Takeshi Kanai and Koichi Karasawa. Kowloon Kurosawa confirmed they are the friends who made the story of Kamikuishiki Village. Not as a blueprint for the not as a bar piece to recruit members, and not as a fan-made project worshipping the cult. It was a meme. Their only purpose, to make fun of Shinrikyo. Takeshi Kanai, Koichi Kanasawa, and even Kowloon Kurosawa are trolls. Some of the very first in internet history, perhaps even the fathers of it.
Prime
They
example
create
of dude for the
falsehoods
meme.
widely believed by mainstream media for sport. But they're not monsters. They're just ahead of the curve. I might even consider them heroes, for shedding light on a rogue entity, for finding optimism in a terrifying situation, and for their partial role in birthing one of my most favorite pastimes. But that's a tale for another time. Our story doesn't end here, however.
Oh, okay.
The remnants of the Shinrikyo cult, Aleph. They are alive, they are active, and they are dangerous. 1995, 2 months after the sarin attack, Japan was made aware that Shinrikyo might have its own military force, and stationed the 1st Airborne Brigade of the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force nearby, as Tokyo police arrested Shoko Asahara and the culprits responsible for the attack. Asahara faced 27 counts of murder and 13 separate indictments. The prosecution argued that Asahara gave orders to in order to overthrow the government and install himself in the position of Emperor of Japan. Just last year. Turns out levitation can't save yourself from being 2000. The group was placed under surveillance for a period of 3 years under an anti-Aum law, in which the group is required to submit a list of members and details of assets to authorities. 2003, Japan's Public Security Intelligence Agency found evidence which suggested that the group still revered Asahara. The authorities still considered the group 2013. The Public Security Intelligence Agency took a photograph inside of Aleph's facilities. In this photograph, a bundle of papers is pierced with a knife on an altar-like object. The papers included photographs of police officers and lawyers who helped followers leave Shinrikyo. People to send Christmas cards. 2016, the Investigative Committee of Russia announced it opened a criminal case against Shinrikyo followers. The Russian government banned Shinrikyo in the country, declaring it 2019. Kazuhiro Kosakabe intentionally rammed into pedestrians crowded into a narrow Takashita street. In retaliation for that Shuhikiskan of Shinrikyo Doomsday Cult members. 8 were hospitalized, but thankfully no one was killed. But I think it's safe to say that I am no longer safe from the likes of Aleph. But as I said, I'm not going to live a life being afraid of standing up to evil people. And the best way you can help me, non-jokingly, truly, seriously, is supporting me on Patreon. It is the very thing that funds these films.
So that was a lot more.
And to those of you that already have, my heart melts for you, dude. Thank you. And to those of you who can't or choose not to, that's okay. Just thank you so much for watching. And now, here is a rap I made for my top patrons. Spread those ass cheeks, Isaiah Wamsley. Go to hell in Commonwealth. I goddamn hate you, 10 the great. You make me sick. Sir, Lich, grow up here. Audio air. Suffocating airlock under dock. Go get eaten by a line, Brian. And Silphit. Fuck you.
Alright. Okay, well, honestly, that was a pretty enjoyable video. That was that was a lot more than what I knew about the Like, I didn't know they were still around today. All I knew was that there was the terrorist attack, but no, they're still around today. And there was so much more in depth, and it was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty good. Listen, guys. Be careful what religions you're getting into, because some of them may just be cults. And there may not be an escape. Be careful out there. You don't want to end up gassing the subway system. Yeah, no, honestly, guys, though, if you enjoyed, be sure to not only like and subscribe my video and comment down below and let me know how I'm doing, but also stop by his video. I'll link it in the description. And leave a like and subscribe to him too, because this is pretty good. He's pretty good. He's an enjoyable content creator. And Wii Sports really went down. Okay. But anyway, guys, with that, I'll see you later, crew.